I was in a really bad shape, and my entire support crew were just like, you're not gonna be able to do this.
Yeah.
My uncle was just looking at me, shaking his head like, why'd you decide to do this?
Welcome to the Active Hub podcast.
Conversations to motivate, inspire, and encourage you on your movement journey.
I'm your host, Ricky Bolmers.
And I'm your co-host, JT. Welcome back to another episode of the Active Hub podcast. If it is your first time joining us, thank you for being here. And to all our regular listeners, thank you for your support over this time. Today we are here with Kieren Devisser. He's an actor and executive producer of the new movie Kennedy. He's got a pretty amazing backstory, and he's got a big feat that he's going to be taking on in the next month. So thanks for being with us, Kieren.
It's my absolute pleasure. How are you, boys?
Very good.
Better now that you're here. So, doing well. We always like to start off with some quick fire questions just to get to warm things up and get to know the guest a bit better. So, Ricky, do you want to start us off with one of the questions?
Morning or night person?
Morning, 100%.
Yeah. What time would you say you're usually up by?
Try and get up at about 5 a.m, but it's
yeah.
a bit hard with my schedule at the moment.
Yeah. And in bed nice and early then?
Yeah.
9:30?
Like 8:30, 9
wow.
o'clock is like my perfect bedtime.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like a grandpa, man.
Yeah, I feel that.
Yeah.
I'm about the same. So,
Bunch of grandpas in the room, I guess.
yeah. But I also feel like it comes with like being a fit person.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
find like a lot of people that are super active are getting up, like going to bed super late.
That's the one thing I say to people is like, how productive are you from like 8 p.m. till 11 p.m. compared to if you get up at 4 or 5 a.m. Those
Yeah.
hours seem way more productive because you go out moving, go for a run, go to the gym, or you just do something that's productive. So I think it does come with generally more active people.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
I think it's because of work. I think work's the main factor in that.
Mm.
Because if we didn't have to work and you could wake up when the sun came up and then do your activity, and then I think you'd shift. Like, you've created sort of a habit of when you get up and stuff, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Possibly.
I'm just sticking up for everyone else.
I do get it. but
Yeah. Would you say you're an introvert or an extrovert?
I'm an introvert, but I'm
Really?
really good at playing the role of an extrovert.
Right. That's interesting.
That's
Yeah.
an actor.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
literally.
I said,
It took me a really long time to be able to just communicate with people.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So, but you kind of warmed into it now.
Yeah, I think so. Once you are in group settings enough throughout your life, you kind of just learn how to battle that anxiety, and you go, oh,
Yep.
It's quite fatiguing though, like.
so fatiguing, so bad.
Yeah.
But I also think it depends on the group that you're with.
Yeah.
Like, I can be extroverted with my group of friends,
Yeah.
and I'll be really outgoing.
Yeah.
But when I go into these big functions or anything that I have to do with a film or the run, I get super nervous about it.
Yeah.
But you just have to
Yeah.
play that role,
Yeah.
and you put on that fake face or
Yeah.
that brave face.
Yep. That's cool. I like that.
And I think it is hard when you're in a crowd as well. It's you're expending a lot more energy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm similar.
Yeah.
Introvert, but when I need to be on, I can be on.
Yeah.
But I'm cooked for a couple of days afterwards.
Literally, you go to bed and you got a headache, and you're just like, I'm done.
Yeah, I hate people.
Yeah.
Just for a little bit.
Yeah.
And what would be we are in Melbourne, so
Yeah.
coffee is obviously a big thing.
Yeah.
What would be your go-to coffee order?
I'm an oat flat white, man.
Oat flat white.
Yeah, with a little bit of honey or maple
Oh,
syrup.
okay.
Maple syrup especially will change your life. It's
Really?
so good, yeah.
It's because you're living in America, adding those sweeteners.
Yeah, pretty much. I think so.
How are you liking the batch brew today?
I actually really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Bit of maple would be even better.
If there was maple in it, it would have changed the game. But
Really? Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. If you could travel anywhere in the world, where would you go?
Egypt.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Pyramids?
Yeah, I
okay.
just love everything with ancient Egypt. I think it's fascinating.
Yeah, right.
What's your thoughts on the pyramids?
Well, what are your thoughts on the pyramids? Hold up.
This could be a whole nother
They're in
podcast.
great
Right?
shape. They're in great shape.
We're going to go into
Conspiracy theory side.
Yeah.
There's a lot out there. We could add to it.
Yeah.
Well,
Yep. Oh, Ricky, do you want to ask your favourite question?
Yeah. It's like I think it's a 10 to 90% ratio for this answer.
Okay.
Are you a scruncher or a folder when it comes to toilet paper?
Folder. How people can scrunch, that blows my mind. I just think it's so unhygienic. Like, there's no way.
All right.
I love how you're so passionate about this as well.
Explain to us. All right, because I am the 10%.
Oh.
Everyone we've had on,
Yeah.
including JT, is a folder. I'm a scruncher because I don't know. Maybe it's my ADHD and I don't have time for it.
Dude.
Talk to me about the hygienic bit.
I don't think you're getting everywhere if you're scrunching it up. My housemate does the same thing.
Have you tried it?
Have you
tried it?
Admittedly, no.
There we go.
But I didn't know this was a thing until my housemate brought it up like
So there's
3
someone
months
out.
ago.
Is there someone out? Is
Yeah.
a scruncher?
Yeah.
There's two of us.
And he
That
was
makes
just
sense.
like, he asked me the same question, and I was like bewildered that people actually scrunch it. It doesn't make sense to me.
I'm surprised you shook my hand then.
Yeah, I'm going to need some sanitizer now.
Yep.
Oh, jeez.
There you go. Another one.
I'm
Another one
I'm
for
a
the
special
tally.
human.
Have you tried folding?
That's why
I don't have
actually
time.
asked
It's
you.
just stressful.
I think you should try
How's
it.
it
I feel
stressful?
like
It's like calming. It's meditative.
I was
I
thinking
feel-
about this the other day. I thought
I'll
we
try
should get you
it.
to try it,
I'll
and it'll
try
change
it.
your life.
I'll try it.
Yeah, it's like maple
I
syrup.
think I did
change
try
your
it once.
life.
Okay. I'll try maple syrup on the toilet paper. Folded toilet paper. Yeah, look, I think we're going to have to do a survey with our listeners though.
Oh yeah.
We'll put one up so we can hear from everyone on the podcast.
I won't
And
be
we'll see
judging.
what my ratio actually is, if there is
All the
anybody
listeners,
else out there who scrunches.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see that, actually.
Yeah, it'd be a good statistic.
And maybe if we all haven't tried, we can all try the other way, and
Yeah.
then we'll come back and we'll see what we feel.
You've convinced me. I'll give it a shot.
Okay, I'll have a fault later on.
Oh gosh.
We could start a new podcast.
Yeah, we could.
Yeah.
Oh, do you want to get us a bit into your background then, growing up, where it all started?
Yeah, so I grew up in the Yarra Valley, started off in Don Valley, and then I moved to Yarra Junction when I was about 8 or 9. Family of 5 boys, so I have 4 older brothers.
Oh, wow.
Eldest brother is 15 years older than me. Second eldest is 14, so there's a pretty big age gap between all of my brothers and I.
Mm-hmm.
My dad was a sports teacher, and he does like school sports Victoria, so I was always quite an active kid. It was like a maybe 3 or 4 year period where I wasn't active, and it was like you could see with the mental health, like it just wasn't as smooth as it should be.
How old were you when this was those 3 or 4 years?
Sort of like mid-high school.
Yep.
Yeah, so I'd say like probably started when I was about 13 and then I got back into it when I was 16, and that's when I did the bike ride.
Yep.
And but yeah.
Yep. And
So how was it with that many brothers?
Man. You know what? Like, the 2 oldest brothers, they were never really around much because they were old enough. They'd have moved out of home by the time I really had anything to remember.
Yeah.
But with my Mitchell, the next brother in line from me, he's 4 years older, and Josh was a madhouse. I remember being that kid that would just poke the bear until they absolutely snapped. Especially
you get away with it.
Yeah, exactly. And Dad would always be on my side and tear into the brothers, and I'd be like,
Did you guys play a lot of sports growing up together or anything like that?
Yeah, so the entire family were heavily into basketball.
Okay.
I don't know what it is about me, but I was the only person in our family just sucked at it. Seriously, any sport to do with my hands, I can't do. I don't know what it is.
Hand-eye coordination.
Yeah, just horrible at it. But I can throw a ball with accuracy. It's just I don't know. Basketball and that, sucked at it.
So dribbling, bouncing.
Yeah, even the shooting with that, I can throw a tennis ball perfectly, but I can't just go for a
It's
shot.
all just form,
Yeah.
muscle memory, all that kind of thing. I would know.
Yeah. Basketball
Thanks,
player.
thanks to LeBron.
Yeah, but where I folded on that, I ended up jumping into soccer, and I absolutely adored soccer. Been an avid player for years. I haven't played now for a while, but I ended up working for Melbourne Victory, and I've got some close connections in the club and that. So
Fun.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's good. So you said when you were 16, you got into a bit of cycling.
Yeah. So I ended up riding from Uluṟu in Central Australia down to Melbourne.
Yep.
And the ride was 2,000...
Is that where the milk bar was? Like just
Yeah.
a quick little blocky.
Yeah, exactly. So it was 2,750 kilometres.
Wow,
and
jeez.
I did it for cancer research.
Yeah.
The real sort of draw to that, because I went to Cedar, which was a sports school based around soccer.
Yeah.
They got like different sports around it as well, but I
yeah.
was at the soccer campus. And I wanted to be a professional soccer player.
Yeah, right.
So bad. And I was delusional. Like, I was good, but I wasn't anywhere near that good.
Yeah.
And I remember going there for the first time, and we played a game, and everyone was just so much better than me. And I just went, this isn't the career path for me. And around the same time, my uncle, cousin got diagnosed with testicular cancer and bowel cancer.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, right.
And it just so happened that I ended up going home one day from Cedar, and I was watching a documentary on cancer. And I'm like, anyone who knows me, I'm just a big softie.
Yeah.
I'm sitting there, I'm bawling my eyes out watching this documentary. And I went, I need to do something for this.
It's awesome.
And I came up with the idea. I was actually going to run from Adelaide to Melbourne with a soccer ball. And I was like...
Like holding a soccer ball, or?
No, like dribbling it.
Yeah, wow.
But then
Look, you might as well fatigue your legs more by kicking a ball.
Literally. But I was like, nah, there's too many... Funnily enough, too much risk involving injury.
Yeah.
It's funny when you look at what I'm about to do. But... And then I came up with the idea of riding from Uluṟu to Melbourne, because Uluṟu is known as the heart of Australia. So I just went, you know what, this cause is close to my heart, so I'll ride from there and come down to Melbourne.
Yeah. And you said you were 16 when you did this.
16 when I signed up, and then I just turned 17 when I started the event.
What's that like being, still a school kid under 18 trying to take on that event?
It was pretty tough. I think a lot of people judged as well, like being in high school, everyone's got, hormones through the roof, and everyone was just like, oh, like he thinks he's better than everyone else because he's doing this kind of thing. And then there was the other half of people that were like, oh, he's just talking smack, he's not actually going to go and do it.
Yeah.
And I think overcoming that barrier, which is something that I've overcome a lot in my life, is that judgment from other people.
Yeah.
Because people don't really understand me and everything that I do.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was really tough dealing with that side of things, and then finally doing it, and you're kind of just sitting at the base of the rock alone, and you don't have any stress about school anymore. It's just about like getting day by day.
Yeah. Yep.
And I remember the first day, like I threw up. I was like exhausted. It was like 120 kilometers, I think, that day.
Yeah.
But it was just like a gentle incline the entire time from the base of Uluṟu up to... I'm not sure if we quite reached the Stuart Highway on the first day or if we were just before it. But yeah, I was in a really bad shape.
Yeah.
And my entire support crew were just like, you're not gonna be able to do this.
Yeah.
My uncle was just looking at me, shaking his head like, why'd you decide to do this?
Yeah.
And then something came over me and I ended up smashing out the rest.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was, how far was it? 2,000?
750.
And how long was that in? How many weeks?
It was in 28 days.
28 days.
Yeah,
okay.
so basically 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're saying you had a support crew. What did it sort of look like? What did this ride look like?
Well, funnily enough, it's really hard doing any event like this to get a support crew. Like, I've always struggled with getting a support crew because it's usually at least a month long. To get people to sacrifice a month of their own income or like having to get time off work, it's really hard to manage.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I ended up having complete strangers volunteer to do it. And they were from Sydney. They knew my brother. They met him in Central Australia and just happened to have him on Facebook. My brother Jason posted this post about looking for a support crew for my ride. So they put their hands up. So for a while there, I was like with complete strangers.
Yeah.
And they really just followed behind me.
Yeah.
They'd stop every sort of 10k, let me ride a couple of hours ahead, and then drive up and catch up just to give me water or like supplements or anything like that. So
Yeah.
And so was there other people doing this event, or was it just you doing this event?
just me. Yeah, so it was funny. When I came up with the idea, I actually reached out to Cancer Council Victoria.
Yeah. So you actually created this ride and
Out of
did it
thin
by
air.
yourself?
Correct.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, in a short time frame as well. I think I had like 3 months.
Yeah.
And 2 of those months, I'd signed everything off. And Cancer Council Victoria, like I'd been having secret meetings with Cancer Council Victoria, which I look back on it now, it probably wasn't the best idea. But I was signing everything away. And then it came to like the month before the event, and they went, "Oh, we just need your parents' signature so we can go ahead with this."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh yeah, I suppose my parents do
We
need to
should
know
tell them.
about this."
Oh, yeah.
So I ended up like pitching it to my dad, and he just went, "No, not a chance. Like, you're still in high school, you can't do this now." And he was like, I fully back you. He's like, "If you want to do it around the Yarra Valley, that's a great idea, but it's too much." And then I just kept sort of persisting, and then Dad ended up becoming my biggest supporter and did probably 90% of the work.
Yeah. Right.
So,
One thing I've already noticed from just this little bit of your story is you've had a lot of people tell you no or you can't do something, but it seems you've got a really good way of telling yourself you can do it. Do you want to speak on the importance of that?
yeah, it's just like having complete and utter belief in yourself.
Yep.
I think I've been misunderstood my whole life because I'm a visionary. I sort of see where I want to go and I make it happen.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you know, when you tell the world that you want to do something and you're doing everything you can to get there, but you're a visionary and you go, okay, well, I've hit 5 walls going this way. Maybe this isn't the right path, but I still have that goal in mind. Maybe I have to go around and take the unbeaten path. But when you start taking the unbeaten path, you have a lot of people go, "Oh, he's given up."
Yeah.
And I've had a lot of people, you know, look at my failures and just be like, "Oh, you know, he's not going anywhere," and they can never quite see the vision. So it's just never losing sight of what you want in life, and you just believe in yourself no matter what. And it's not been easy. Like, I've had some severe mental health issues throughout my time, just because you'll get thrown so far off your vision, and then you're like, okay, how do I get back there? And it can take like 12 months to like readjust and go, okay, this is how I go then now.
Yeah.
So maybe that's like, maybe if we go into a bit more of the ride and what it looked like, and
Yeah.
obviously day one you said you felt like you wanted to vomit and stuff like that. How, like, what did the progression of days look like, and the challenges that came with that? You know, did you feel like giving up at any point?
The thing is with me, I'm just like, I'm going to keep moving forward. That's how I see it. Like, if my body can handle it, I'm going to keep going forward. I've set a task for myself. I'm going to achieve it. And if I don't achieve it, then I'm going to give it 100%. And the only reason that I'd ever back out is if I literally can't do it anymore. So first day, pretty brutal. I remember thinking to myself, I don't know what I've done. I'm in this place that I've never been before, in the middle of the desert, with a support crew I don't know except for my uncle.
Yeah.
And kind of went to bed pretty quiet that night, because it's also another thing. I was 17 when I was doing it, and I was with like 40, 50 plus like year olds.
Yeah.
So I didn't really connect with them at all. So I was basically alone for the entire thing.
Yeah.
And, you know, some days were easier than others, but you kind of just have to put your head down and go, it is what it is, and keep moving forward. Like, there's not really like a real science to it or like a real methodology. It's just like, I need to keep moving forward. I've said I'm going to do something, so I need to do it.
Yeah.
And like, the setup for it wasn't a massive lead-in. So what did like the training look like? Or did you just go, all right, this is the bike I'm riding, and just jump on?
While I was actually training, we got a road bike semi-sponsored by Lilydale Cycles in Lilydale.
Yeah.
Or Yarra Valley Cycles, I think they're called now. But I was training on a mountain bike because I had no idea about cycling. I'd never ridden a bike really. I didn't learn how to ride a bike until I was about 12.
Yeah.
And I didn't ride it. I hadn't ridden one since until I started training for this. And to get to my school, I'd have to wake up at 5 a.m. and then catch the 5:30 bus. And I wouldn't get to school until 8:30. So like training was really not an option to do proper training sessions. So I just trained on the weekends and just ride as far as I could. And that's all it was. So I definitely wasn't fit enough to do what I did. And that probably caused a lot of pain, and like I had shin splints and things like that as well. And, but yeah, you just grind through that pain.
Yep.
So was there any day that you did feel like, oh, I'm not going to make it through?
Yeah, there was one day in particular, we were riding somewhere through South Australia and through the Clare Valley, and this is an awful story.
Hey JT.
Hey Ricky.
Quick ad.
Ooh, tell me more.
I thought we'd take this opportunity to invite our listeners to one of our active communities.
What have we got?
We have Sunday night mixed netball, Tuesday and Thursday night basketball. We have run club on Saturdays, and we have group rides every fortnight on Saturdays.
That sounds pretty good. Now, I do have one question.
Yes.
On these Saturdays, I quite enjoy a coffee in the morning. How am I going to do that?
Well, everything we do is to a coffee. We ride to coffee, we run to coffee. The reason why we do it is for coffee.
Perfect. Sounds
Now,
good.
we'd love to see you down at one of our active communities. If you want to get involved in one of them, you can head to the Active Hub on social media or check out our website. We'd love to chat to you as well. We'd love to have you down at one of our active communities. Join us for a coffee, a conversation, and a bit of movement.
Perfect. Let's get back into the episode.
This is an awful story. I was in pain. Like I had shin splints and it was just, my whole body was hurting. And I was riding down this cliff or like down this really steep mountain. And this car drove past really, really quick. And I had one of those little mirrors on the side of my bike.
Oh, yeah.
And that got hit by the car.
Ooh,
and I flinched. So I sort of like turned the bike a little bit, and then I hit a pothole, and then I got dragged onto the gravel, and the gravel sucked me down and almost threw me off the cliff.
Oh.
And I was sitting there like pretty shaken about it.
Oh, yeah.
And with all the pain that was going on, I kind of just went like, what is this? And then I hopped back on my bike because I didn't have contact with my support crew. They were already in Clare. Ended up jumping on the bike, and I rode like maybe 2 kilometers, and then my tire burst, and none of the support crew or myself knew how to change a tire.
Yeah.
And we went to the local bike shop, and the one guy that could change you a tire had a broken hand, so he couldn't do it. And we kind of were just like Googling and YouTubing. There was little reception there, so it took us like 3 hours to get it on. I just remember sitting there going, am I actually going to get through this ride?
Yeah.
But it's that stubborn determination.
Yeah. Can you change your tyre now? Or you still don't know?
I honestly, I haven't really ridden since.
Yeah. Wow.
So, like, little bits and pieces, and like I'll go for like a joyride just with friends and that down the coast, but nothing
Yep.
competitive.
Yep. So let's talk about the overall event. Did you complete it, and what kind of fundraising did you get from that?
Yeah, so because it was pretty unorganised and we didn't really get into anything, we only raised 12,500, I believe.
Still a lot, yeah.
Still a good effort.
Yeah.
And I did complete it.
Yep.
I arrived in Yarra Junction, had a crowd of 300 people, like local people, schools and civilians, and they had all lined up in a guard of honour, and they let me ride through, and they were all clapping as I went past, and
Yep.
then I did
special moment.
a big speech, and
Yeah.
it was pretty amazing.
Yep. Awesome. So that's your first little charity event.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you've had a few others that you've done.
Yeah. Yeah. So I ended up starting a charity event company pretty much straight after that.
Yeah.
I actually wanted to drop out of school, but Dad didn't let me.
Yeah.
And
Might as well while you're 17 do like
Yeah, might as well.
massive bike ride and then start a
I
company.
mean, you'd be a celebrity of school after doing that for surely. Like,
yeah. But again, negative environment. Like
Yeah.
people instantly went, especially where I grew up, it was a pretty negative place.
Yeah.
And a lot of people just thought I was going to have this huge ego. So I actually ended up changing schools and I went back to my original school in the Yarra Valley.
Yeah.
And they did not support it at all. They would just like hardly talk to me, and yeah, it was really quite awkward.
Yeah.
And yeah, started that event company. Didn't really do well because I had no idea what I was doing.
Yeah.
But we did some stuff for the homeless and raised some money there, and gave some money and food. And then I kind of took a break for a while, and I ended up starting when I was 21 a company called Endurathon Oz. And that essentially gathered athletes from all around the world to raise money for one common cause, and that was to raise money for plastic pollution.
Yeah.
So to stop plastic entering our oceans through drains, we partnered up with a company called Clean Water Group that had a system called the Drain Buddy system, and the idea was we'd put it in pretty much every drain across the East Coast and stop plastic pollution entering our oceans by about 50% through drains.
Awesome.
In Australia. So that was the game plan.
Yeah.
I was going to run, cycle and kayak 25,000 kilometres around Australia. So I was training...
25,000 kilometres.
Yeah, which is a full loop.
Yeah, nice.
I was going to kayak the Bass Strait to Tasmania, do Tasmania, kayak back, and then finish in Melbourne.
Wow.
Yeah.
You were going to?
It's going to, and it was all lined up. Like, it was ready to go. We'd booked in to speak at hundreds of schools across Australia.
Yep.
We had events booked in across Australia, like some of the biggest events in Australia through our company, three event productions in Queensland, and it was all good. Like, we had all the athletes ready to do their things. One guy was going to swim the English Channel. We had another guy that was going to do the same run Ned Brockman did a couple of years back.
Yeah.
And yeah, then we were supposed to kickstart at the start of 2020, and obviously the bushfires were going heavy. And in my heart, I was just like, kind of want all the money to be focused on the bushfire victims and like getting those communities back up and running.
Yeah.
So I went, let's postpone it for 6 months, and then we'll start in June.
Yeah.
And then as soon as June hit and we're about to kickstart, the COVID-19 pandemic took over Australia, and we went into some of the toughest lockdowns in the world, and it completely like canned Endurathon Oz. We lost all of our sponsors, we lost all the schools that we were going to speak at, all the events were obviously cancelled, and to rebuild it to what it was or what it was going to be, it would take another 2 years.
Yeah.
And I just didn't have it in me anymore.
Yeah.
So
that must be pretty hard, like obviously going through a whole bunch of processes to get to that event just for it to be cancelled, and it's something that's so out of your control as well. Like, it's not like you haven't put in the work, you haven't trained or unprepared. It's something that's so out of your control.
Yeah, it was pretty difficult, especially when you're like, I spent 3 years organising that event, and I'd been flying up to Sydney, I'd been flying up to the Gold Coast, I was doing all these different things for it. And for me, like, I'd built the hype up amongst my community, and you spend 3 years telling the world you're going to do something big, and it was getting all organised, and you could see all this progression behind the scenes, but you couldn't announce different things because you weren't ready to announce it publicly. And then obviously the pandemic hit, knocked 3 years worth of work out of the water, and I wasn't getting paid for this stuff either. This was all voluntary. And then all of a sudden your community's like, well, what happened? And like, for years after that, people just thought that I was like talking smack the entire time, and I was like, no, I literally put in all of this work. And like, I even had one person just be like to me, you always say you're going to do something, but you never do it. Like, you've got commitment issues. And I just went, how's that commitment issues?
Yeah.
I was like, I was like, the COVID pandemic literally ruined everything.
Yeah.
And like 2 years worth of, like, to put it back together again with the vision that I had and the ultimate goal that I have, it was like, it just didn't fit my plan anymore.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So it's off the cards now, is it?
It's off the cards now. I'd like to do something like that again, but with where I want to go in life, I don't know if it'll ever happen.
Yeah.
But never say never.
Yeah. I mean, might as well jump into it now. You've got something, I guess, similar to that's coming up in the month of July. Do you want to quickly tell us, what it is that you're doing, and then we'll chat a bit more about some of the steps that are involved.
Yeah, so I'm about to run 2,000 kilometres from Melbourne CBD to Brisbane CBD. I'll be averaging 64 kilometres each day for 31 consecutive days, and I'm doing it to raise money for pancreatic cancer.
It's quite a feat.
Yeah.
Lots of feet, lots of steps.
Lots of feet. Fractured feet.
Yeah. And so how did this come about? Is it something that you've just, kind of thought of, or?
Yeah, I mean, there's many reasons why this came about, but it's just something that wouldn't leave me alone. And, I just kept having this vision in my head to do this. And I kept being like, no, I'm not going to do it. Like, this is ridiculous. I'm not going to put my body under that much stress. And I've done like ultras and that in the past, and I know how your body goes. And I just went, there's no chance I'm going to do something like this. And I kept like putting it off. And I prayed to God at one stage, and I just went, look, I feel like this is from you. I feel like you're telling me to do this because it won't leave me alone. And when something won't leave me alone, it's something I don't want to do. Usually I think it's from a higher power. And I ended up saying that prayer, and I just went, if it is from you, just make it work out and I'll do it. But I'm not going to do this if it isn't from you. Surely enough, like a day later, I had my friend message me, and he is the CEO or the chairman of the Viridian Foundation, who's running the cause, or like donates a lot of money to pancreatic cancer. And he just said, I want you to be a part of the step challenge this year. And I went, sure, because I was a part of the step challenge last year and I did a pretty big feat as well. And I just went, yeah, absolutely. And I went, look, I've got an idea. I'm not committing to it. I don't think I'm going to do it, but here's my thoughts. And I just went, I'm thinking about running from Melbourne to Gold Coast at the time. And like, I don't know how it's going to work, because financially it's not feasible, because these events cost 20,000 plus. And like logistically, I don't think it's possible. And also I'm doing 2 full-time jobs at the moment. I can't really afford to do it, but this is my thoughts. And he went, let me get back to you in 24 hours and I'll see what we can do for you. Within 24 hours, we had the entire event covered. We had 2XU on board, and we had a whole bunch of other things play out. And I just went, all right, I guess I have to do it. And it's just that surrender to God and go, all right, if this is your will, man, like I'll do what I need to do.
And you were saying the step challenge before, so for those who don't know, there's another event that kind of goes on, and you're kind of being the lead person for that. Do you want to speak about what that step challenge is?
Yeah, so I suppose in a way I am championing it, but it is bigger than me. And the step challenge is the Viridian Foundation step challenge. They do it every year. And all money raised goes to the pancreatic centre at Epworth Hospital. And essentially what they do is they just get people from around the world, specifically in Australia and specifically in the corporate world, to sign up to the step challenge. It's a $31 donation fee that all goes to pancreatic cancer research. And it's just about getting active. Very much like what you guys promote. It's just getting active during July, which is statistically one of the months where people are least active, and getting people to get out and get as many steps as possible. And so you were someone who did this last year, and then they've kind of approached you and said, can you be the face of this year? I wouldn't say the face. So it was more... So last year, I ended up walking the distance from Melbourne to Gold Coast in 33 days. And I just absolutely dominated the challenge. I think the person behind me was like 1 million steps behind me. And then the third lead was like 1.5 million steps behind me.
So how many steps was it in total?
I did over 2 million steps by the end of it.
Wow.
So I wanted to get 2 million steps in the 31 days, but I just couldn't, because I was working full time and it just wouldn't work. But yeah, I ended up doing that, and I gained a lot of attention from that. Worst thing I've ever done. Like, fractured feet, biggest blisters. The blisters were like the size of tennis balls. It was disgusting.
Yeah.
And then when Michael called me up and he just went, look, I want you to be a part of it this year. He was just wanting me to be a part of the team because he thought I'd do something crazy like that again.
Yeah.
And I am.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
There we go.
yeah.
So what's training look like for you at the moment? I know you've been running quite a bit. What does that look like?
I haven't like had a set routine as such. It's just about getting as many Ks in the legs as possible and strengthening the knees.
Yeah.
So I'll still work out 3 times a week, and before that I was working out 6 times a week.
Yeah.
And then I'll just run anywhere between 50, actually probably anywhere between 80 and 150 Ks a week.
Yeah.
But it's been real difficult the last sort of 2 weeks, just getting the time to train with all the logistics and between the business and the film. It's like very hard. So routine wise, I kind of go, okay, I've got 7 meetings today. Probably aren't going to be able to train properly, so I might do 21K.
Yeah.
That's still a pretty big amount.
Just a quick little 21K.
Little half marathon just as a casual training. So
Yeah, well, it's funny because it's like, it sounds like a lot to the normal person, but for when you're training and you have to run a minimum of 64K every day, it's like, I look at that and go, that's a baby step. So
Well, technically it is, I guess.
yeah.
So in terms of what that looks like with support and like the whole gig, what will that look like day by day?
Yeah, so we've had some pretty big sponsors come on board, which is fantastic. We've got Levantine Hill Estate who have donated the motorhome. We have 2XU. We've got a couple of other sponsors that we can't talk about right now, but they've donated a lot of gear.
Yep.
We have the motorhome, obviously. I've just got one of my closest friends. She's jumping on board to be support crew.
Yep.
And yeah, it's like I'll start the day at 5 a.m. every morning and get outside the van, start running. I fast, so I probably won't eat anything until about 21K in.
Yep.
Then I'll have like a smoothie or some oats while I'm walking, and then I'll continue to run once that's digested and just be out on the road for 10 to 16 hours a day.
She's fasting before. That's tricky.
Yeah. See, like I thrive off it.
Yeah.
I think because I've been fasting since I was, pretty much 16.
Yeah.
So I've always done the 16-hour split, 16-8-hour split.
Yeah.
And I am so used to it now that it's like if I eat before running, then I actually feel worse.
Yeah, right.
So I like getting that first 21K in without any food because I feel like I'm the most efficient. And then once my body starts going, it's time to get some other energy, that's when I'll start feeding myself.
Do you, I'm just going from what I sort of know about nutrition and stuff like that, how do you think you'll be able to last the whole time with be able to fast before?
Yeah, it's a tough one because the biggest thing that I think will be a struggle is that I'm going to have to be consuming 10,000 calories a day.
Yeah.
So to be able to do that, probably not.
Yeah.
It's wishful thinking.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We'll just see what my body does. Yeah. You can never really plan for an event like this. And you can look at like Ned Brockman or you can look at other people that have done similar events and listen to what they have to say. Yeah. But everyone's body's so different. Yeah. So you kind of just...
event as well.
Ned Brockman was just meat pies and milk, wasn't he?
Pretty much, yeah.
I've got a cheat code for you if you want to get the 10,000 calories in.
Yeah.
There's these big cookies you can get. They're 1,000 calorie cookies.
Really?
10 of those a day.
Where from?
Oh, we used to get them from the gym I went to. I'll actually have a look to see if you can maybe get some of those.
Yeah.
I'm sure Krispy Kremes are right up there. Then they just melt in your mouth.
Yeah, I mean, but they're dense as you have one, you're like...
It's like a full meal.
Yeah, it's just a big chocolate chip cookie, and it's a big boy, but 1,000 calories. So have 10 of those a day, and you'll be right.
I'll have to look into it because I've been looking at it, and it's pretty hard. Yeah. Unless you're having ultra processed stuff like that.
Yeah, or just try and get liquid calories in.
Yeah, exactly.
It's one of the easy ways, but.
Well, how many bananas would that be? How many calories?
I think bananas 60 or 70 calories, so you probably
90 calories.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Depends how big the banana is.
Yeah.
So in terms of getting involved, How can our listeners or people in the community get involved with you and with the Step Challenge?
The biggest thing is just getting the support and the awareness out there. I think like following my Instagram at Kieren Devisser, I've only just started it, so like I've just quickly put everything together.
Yeah.
But sharing stories, sharing the posts that I'll be putting up, and getting Australia on board and letting all of your community know what I'm doing, and then hopefully that can convert into people donating as well.
Yeah.
So if we can raise as much money as possible, I'd like to raise at least $100,000. But I only decided to do this 10 weeks ago, so like getting it all organised was pretty last minute.
Yeah.
So, man, if we can just get Australia on board and get everyone sharing and commenting and posting, that's the biggest thing.
Yep. And in terms of the Step Challenge, they can all sign up individually or as a team to do that Step Challenge?
Yeah, so you can sign up until the 31st of June.
Yep.
But after the 31st of June, that's the cutoff date. So if you want to sign up, you can join the Kennedy the film on the Move Spring app and join the Viridian Foundation's Step Challenge. If you're going to do that, message me on Instagram or email me and I'll give you the details, because there is a little bit of a process there.
Yep.
Yeah. Nice.
Yep.
So you spoke about Kennedy film. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so Kennedy, the film, it is based on Sergeant Michael Kennedy, who was brutally murdered by the Kelly gang and Ned Kelly and his gang in 1878 at Stringybark Creek. And it's a love story between him and his wife. So it's very much a Titanic-esque style movie. You follow the love story between himself and Bridget right up to the moment where Michael's killed by Ned Kelly, and then it follows Bridget's journey through widowhood. She has a miscarriage, and you just see a little bit more of that side to the story. By no means is this a way to tarnish Ned Kelly. We are not playing sides, but I think in the world of Ned Kelly, especially within Australia, people view him as a hero and they view the police as villains. We're just here to go, it's not really the case. Good people were hurt during this time, and I'm not saying that, Ned Kelly was a villain at all. I actually think it was a very complex issue, and there was a lot of different reasons as to why the Kelly outbreak happened. But we want to show that Michael Kennedy was a human being. He was loved by his community, and he's got a really fascinating story to tell as well.
Yeah.
That I think deserves to be heard.
Sounds very intriguing.
So you obviously said that for this new film, you're going to be the executive producer as well as an actor.
Yes.
Speak about what that involves.
Yeah, so executive producer, they're pretty much the top of the food chain when it comes to any form of film production. So my role as that is, confirming the actors, getting, producers on board, getting private investors on board, setting up the sets, confirming everything involved with the film. And I'm just working very closely with Darren Hawkins, who's an award-winning director, and he knows a little bit more about film than I do. When I say a little bit, I dare to say 20 years more experience than I do, so a lot more. But we're working very closely together to make this film as big as possible. As far as the acting goes, I can't disclose that at the moment, but yeah, it's exciting.
You can't disclose that.
Sorry. Ricky's actually going to be Ned Kelly in the...
We can't let that out, guys.
Yeah.
Don't let that slip.
Yeah.
Is that right?
You got the beard.
Yeah.
And around that time is about the beard coverage that he'd have. So
There we go.
Look at that. Might be an opportunity for you, Ricky. Change up the career.
Might be already in there. I've already signed.
career change.
Do you want to speak about a little bit, obviously we've spoken about, your physical feats and that kind of thing, but how did you get into this acting and producing thing?
Yeah, so at the end of Endurathon Oz, when that crashed in 2020, a lifelong dream of mine was always to be an actor. I loved film, I loved television, but I did a acting course in year 10 and my mates just hassled me for it. Like, I was that sporty kid, and then I did an acting course and like they all bullied me for it.
Yeah.
And I wasn't really good at it at the time because I wasn't confident enough. And that sort of made me stray away from the path. But that dream was always there. And then when Endurathon Oz crashed, wasn't in the best headspace, and I went, I'm just going to start like connecting with childhood passions and see where that leads me. I ended up doing a 12-month acting course, and I wrote a TV show called The Uluṟu Boys with a close friend of mine, and we ended up moving over to Los Angeles with it, and we were very much in pre-production. Didn't work out, but that made me fall in love with it, and I've been back to LA a few times since, and I've been lucky enough to see some pretty incredible scenes within the entertainment industry since. And I just love it, man. It's where my
Uluṟu
heart
Boys
is
sounds cool.
Yeah.
I'm a Uluṟu Boys.
Yeah, it's. I believe heavily that one day it will be produced.
Yeah.
The idea originally was that my co-writer and I were going to be the actors on it, but I don't think that will happen now, just because we're probably going to be a bit older once it's produced. But with Kennedy and the trajectory that it's on, like, we're winning a lot of awards in pre-production. We're getting a lot of media attention in pre-production, which is pretty rare. So I think if that is successful, then my next stage will be getting the Uluṟu Boys produced, fixing up the script, because there's a few things that we need to fix, and making it something special.
Yeah, well, that's cool.
You definitely have a wealth of experience in life through all of this, and have met some incredible people, I'm sure.
Yes.
Is there any wise words or things you've learnt along the journey that you'd love to share?
Just believe in yourself wholeheartedly. Don't listen to other people. I've danced that fine line 1,000 different times where you have so much belief in yourself, but the whole world's telling you can't do something. And it's okay when strangers are telling you can't do something, but it's really hard when your family are judging you, or your closest friends. And during those times, know that your family and your friends, they do love you. Like, even if they are judging you or telling you can't do something, don't despise them for it, because I did for a while, and it's not good for you. It's just, they have their own perspective on life, and your perspective doesn't fit theirs, and there's tension there. So believe in yourself wholeheartedly. Don't let other people's judgments affect you, and just keep moving forward. And if you have to go off the beaten path, which I dare say most people do when they're chasing a vision or a dream, then do it, and don't look back.
Very wise words.
Yeah,
Very
that's
wise
good.
words.
It's something that I'm sure our listeners can take something from, especially like you're saying, going on different paths. I think that's something that I've realised as well. Like, your goals that you set, the challenges that you set, it's going to change, and that's okay. To veer off track and to try and come back. That's awesome that you've shared that.
Yeah, and well done on what you've achieved.
Thank you.
With this bike ride when you're 17. And look, we're really excited to see how you go with this run.
Thank you.
We'll definitely be supporting you and making sure we have your back through it all, and try and get our community as involved as possible.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, but good luck on that, and we chat to you after the big run, and
if I'm still sane.
Get some war stories.
I'll be chatting to you, and I'll be shaking in the corner like, I don't want to go back.
Change, man. Yeah.
No, it'd be awesome.
Hope for the best for this one, and you don't get any injuries, and you have a successful run, and we raise a lot of money for such a big cause.
Yeah,
thank you so
amazing,
much.
Sir.
But thank you so much for being on the podcast. We appreciate your time.
Pleasure.
And your stories.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
No worries. Thanks, Kieren.
Cheers, boys.
Such a great story from Kieren. A lot of different push-throughs and, sometimes challenges, that you plan don't actually go ahead. But currently, Kieren is out running in the freezing cold weather to raise money for pancreatic cancer, and he's currently, I think, day 10.
Just started day 10 and smashing through a few injuries already, but seems to be pushing through them pretty well.
Yeah, he seems to have a good mental state. So firstly, make sure you check out his page, see what he's doing. If you can donate. If you can send him an encouragement, that'd be huge, because when you're running out 60 Ks a day in the middle of nowhere, and I think he's had like some minus weather. There was a day where his hair's frozen. But yeah, go check him out, and he's doing some pretty cool stuff right now.
Yeah, it's a pretty powerful thing that he's doing, and I don't think we had too much doubt after hearing his story and some of the things he's done in the past. I know it stood out to me that he's someone who has full confidence in himself when he has an idea and he sets something. Like you said, he's a visionary. When he has an idea, he commits to it fully, and he's going to do it. He's going to complete it. So I think with that mindset, he's going to be able to push through even more challenges, and we're backing him to finish it.
Yeah. Look, my legs are sore talking about it.
Yeah.
But as I sit down on the couch in the nice warm heat.
Yes.
Yeah. Look, pretty incredible being a 16-year-old and just going, I'm going to do this ride, and get it done. So that's huge. It definitely shows massive push through, and he's got definitely got a mental toughness about him.
Yep, and it's an encouragement to everyone out there that despite your circumstances or despite what the people around you are saying, especially the ones that are close to you, you can still, do the things that you want to put your mind to. So as long as you have a goal in mind, set those steps to get to that goal, you can really achieve anything.
Yeah, it's probably a good example that sometimes you're alone in things and you need to encourage yourself. So our encouragement to you today would probably be to encourage yourself.
Yep, definitely. So we really thank you guys for tuning into another episode. We've been loving the support we're getting, and the guests that we're having on have just shared some amazing stories. So as always, if there's anything you want to share with us or our guests, be sure just to flick us a message on our socials. We love hearing your guys' feedback, and is there anything else you want to add, Ricky?
Look, we might do a follow-up with Kieren to actually hear the whole story of this, so stay tuned for that one. But yeah, definitely just if you got something out of this and you know someone else that might get something out of this, please send it to them, and make sure you follow us on all the platforms. It just helps us continually do what we do, and obviously get the messages out there. There's a lot of powerful stories that we get to share and talk about, so we appreciate it when you do that. And also we'd love to hear more feedback, lots more feedback on what you'd like to hear, or who you'd like to hear from, or what sort of encouraged you, what has your movement looked like because of one of the stories. It'd be awesome.
100%. So once again, thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Active Hub podcast. We can't wait to see you next time.
Thanks, guys.